Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Lewisboro Town Board meeting for April 27, 2026. For those in the room, the exits are towards the front of the building and towards the back of the building. If you don't mind, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with the public hearing on short-term rentals. If anyone here would like to say anything with regards to short-term rentals, you can come up to the mic and state your name, Hamlet, and you have 3 minutes.
Lisa Owis, Hamlet of South Salem. Good evening. I have been a South Salem community member for over 14 years and have owned my home here for over 3 years. Before purchasing my property, I did my due diligence, checking with the town as well as the HOAs. I met with local realtors, including the wife of our previous town supervisor, Mr. Parsons, to confirm the existing rental regulations. I also vetted this with homeowners associations to ensure I was purchasing in good faith. I invested in this community based on the rules as they were explained by those in leadership. To change them retroactively now would be a breach of that good faith. I'm here to address the commercial label being used to justify these restrictions. From the street, my home has no signage, no lobby, no storefront. It is indistinguishable from any other house because the activity inside is strictly residential families and individuals eating, sleeping, relaxing. To label this commercial is a mischaracterization of how we live. Here's the paradox. The IRS defines a rental as a business only at 7 days or less. New York State taxes stays as transient up to 90 nights. More importantly, New York State law grants full residency and tenancy rights at 30 days. By drawing a line at 30 days, the town falls into a tenancy trap. If a guest eats and sleeps the same way on day 25 as they do on day 31, the town cannot logically claim day 25 is commercial, while the state says day 31 is residential. Duration does not change the nature of use. If the decision is not to opt out, I propose a grandfather founder's clause to grandfather in existing operations. This is essential for legal certainty so our property rights aren't retroactively extinguished by future policy shifts. I also suggest the town could encourage a green tier standard utilizing non-toxic phosphate-free products to protect our watershed. Common sense suggestions like occupancy limits of 2 per bedroom, no party rules, far more than the proposed restrictions would be. Finally, please remove the primary residency restriction. It devalues home equity for every neighbor in Lewisboro. And remember, neighborhood eyesores come from abandoned, broken down vehicles, not well-managed rentals. This income supports extended families. I would like to hand a copy of my letter to the board members. Thank you.
Here, I'll take all of them and pass them out. Take a deep breath. It's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We also got it in the inbox.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Actually, yeah. Someone else. No, go ahead. Go ahead. You're fine. Good evening, Johnny Emas, South Salem. I'm just going to read the email that I sent actually earlier today because I just found out about this this proposal recently. So, dear Supervisor and the Lewisboro Town Board, I'm submitting this letter opposing any proposed regulation of short-term rentals in the town of Lewisboro. As an active participating resident of this town since 2014, with 2 sons who attended John Jay schools, I have only the best intentions and interests in maintaining the quality of life in our lovely slice of Westchester. I have successfully run an Airbnb rental as a superhost in a portion of our house for approximately 9 years. During this time, we have not had a single complaint or quality of life issue raised from any neighbor at any point. But during these years, I've had neighbors use my rental for when they have had family and friends visiting and needed somewhere for them to stay close to their homes. In my long experience with hosting hundreds of stays over the years, the vast majority of my guests have been friends, parents, grandparents, or extended family visiting the residents of our town. I've even had an Airbnb guest renter and his wife stay who had once lived in our house in his youth in the 1950s. I've also found many previous residents returning as guests for various school, John Jay, Harvey, etc., and family reunions. Also, people attending events across our town at such venues as Walkabout Country Club, visiting the Wolf Sanctuary, Katona Art Museum, and various trail running events, including the Leatherman Salute held in this area. People visiting our area have no accommodation or hotel options for these types of stays apart from short-term rentals. These offer a valuable option which enhances the ongoing and sustainable future of our social fabric. Other renters who have stayed have been town residents who have temporarily needed to move out of their own homes due to an emergency such as flooding, heat loss, or some sort of building failure, or they are having work done on their own homes such as refinishing floors or minor construction. The proximity of having a short-term rental option close has been invaluable to all these renters, many of whom are our fellow neighbors or family. In addition, over the time period, I have had 6 different families who were looking at different areas in the tri-state area to relocate with their young families. These families, who often stayed multiple times while they discovered the area, like the town so much, they end up buying homes and moving to our beautiful town. The ability for them to stay and, to a certain extent, be hosted by a local, I believe, made all the difference in their very big decision to move their family and start a new life in our town. New families moving into our area is so important for the continued vitality of our tax base, school enrollment, and
Thank you. That's your 3 minutes. But we did receive your email, so it'll go on record.
Please, if you could
Yes.
read it, and be happy to take any questions that you had.
Thank you.
In the future.
Anyone else?
My name is Linda Van Tassel Clark. I live on 22 Cove Road in South Salem. I spoke last time and I wrote a very detailed letter. I'm the person who's living next door to the people who are renting. I'm the one that's dealing with the dog poo in the yard, or the people who are walking up on my dock, or, you know, things that really shouldn't be done because the fact that the house host has not set any rules and regulations. And we need rules and regulations because it's scary to see what goes on. Even Saturday before last, the people next to me had a party. Started out with 6 people, ended up with 16 people and dogs and chaos running around. I have to hide in my house. And I know that you know, sometimes people need to rent their houses. My family have owned the house for 75 years and knew the people who, you know, who originally discovered the lake and built the boathouse and continued on. But we've never had a problem until short-term rentals have started, because people don't know how fragile the environment is or how to be a good neighbor. Just to basically say, hey, we're having a party, you know, this is going on. The problem is the hosts are not there. There's nobody there. And I'm not going to call the police every 5 minutes and say, we're having a problem going on here. We need to put rules and regulations in before it balloons out of control. It started with 1 or 2, rentals, and now it's up to, I even just look at all the bubbles when you look at Airbnb or Verbo that are around in this area. Eventually, it's not going to be a residential area. My parents moved in. My father was one of the first principals at Lewisboro Elementary. And he moved in because the builder said, we want you here. We want families here. We want people who are going to make a difference in the town of Lewisboro. We want people who are going to get involved. We want families, even elderly. But because of the prices of the houses being pushed out of control because the people who are buying it to use it for short-term rentals, that is getting to the point where nobody can afford to live. Even I can't afford to live. And if I can't live with peace and quiet and enjoy it to a degree, I mean, I know that people say that, they have to rent, but they could also just sell the house to somebody who wants to buy it. I mean, I've covered everything in my letter. And, one last thing that I'd like to say is we have to try to keep what Lewisboro and South Salem has that's so unique. It's been a private lake. It has been a place for everyone to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Neil Blum, Cove Road, South Salem. I was not prepared to speak tonight. I believe my wife and I have sent a letter. I've been a resident of this town since the 1950s. It's my entire 70-year life. I live on Lake Wacabuck. I care deeply about Lake Wacabuck. And I'm concerned about Lake Wacabuck. I'm concerned about the area. I do believe there should be some regulations. I echo a lot of what Linda has to say. It makes a huge difference when you don't know how to approach a neighbor or their children for something that they're doing. You don't know, do I go to that person or do I go to the host? Now, we have immediately to our side, two houses on a short-term rental. I will say that I have had no issues with those particular individuals. Matter of fact, some of the people who have been there have been lovely. I offered them a snow shovel this winter time when they got stuck there because they were here trying to visit their new grandchild. We are very lucky because that particular owner, I believe that's their people very well. And I know that if I have an issue, I can call her and say, you know what, this is happening with your individual there. I don't have that same confidence with other situations. I live on the lake. I see a lot of things that I'm very scared about. Will the individuals have access to motorboats? Will they be required to take Brianna's Law, which requires a motorboat certification? There's a lot of pieces, but more than that, once again, if I see children down at the dock or down at the lake or doing something, and I know their parents, that I can approach their parents, like I say, I mean, I've worked at the school for 20 odd years. I'm seeing houses that perhaps may have gone for a young family off the market now. As I say, I've worked at the school for 20 plus. My elementary school got closed. It will never be reopened again. The way we're going, who knows what will happen in the future. I do believe regulation is needed. I believe there has to be more oversight.
Okay, anyone else? Short-term rental?
Hi, good evening, Amy Chan, South Salem. I'm actually reading a letter on behalf of our cleaner. Dear Lewisboro Town Board and Supervisor, it's come to my attention very recently that Lewisboro Town Board is proposing short-term rental regulations that will either ban or force many short-term rental places to stop renting. I oppose the introduction of these regulations. I own and run a small independent house cleaning business that serves Lewisboro Town and the surrounding area. These unnecessary regulations will inevitably reduce or eliminate the amount of short-term rentals and Airbnb properties in Lewisboro Town District. These proposed regulations will effectively force many or all short-term rental properties to cease renting. My business and my cleaning staff, along with other similar service businesses, will be economically affected by this action. The revenue and wages from short-term rental cleaning ends up going back into the local economy and not only benefits my company and employees, but those of many other small local businesses. I am sure, as I was until recently, there are many other businesses who service and directly benefit from servicing short-term rentals who are unaware that these harsh regulations are being proposed and the potential consequences that will happen. As a cleaning service, you have a very personal insight in how people live. I have cleaned short-term rentals for many years and have a good insight into how renters look after the space and how respectfully they are of the neighborhood and community they are staying in. I have generally been surprised at how the short-term renters have looked after the space and been good citizens in these neighborhoods. I have not found trash laying around the properties, garbage cans have been left neatly, cars parked correctly and in accordance with local laws, and the house neatly and tidy. In the instance I have crossed paths with renters, I have always found them to be polite, courteous. Very often they have family or friends visiting Lewisboro Town residents. I've never heard of any quality of life complaints about these renters from any neighbors of these short-term rentals. I therefore oppose the need for proposed short-term rental regulations, as in my experience, I have not seen any evidence that these short-term rentals need regulations and have affected the quality of life in any way. This will hurt my business and my staff income, and most likely many other businesses who do not know they should be contacting this board. Thank you. Fernanda Prasad Rini, owner and principal of Prasad Rini Cleaning Services. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Short-term rental?
Thanks. Good evening. I'm Sharon Slocum. I also live on Lake Wacabuck, and I did write you a letter. And so I'm not going to go over all of it, but I just wanted to add to Linda's comments. And the thing is that we all live very closely together. She didn't really explain that the reason she has to go into her house is because the people are so close. I mean, she can hear them talking just when they're both sitting on their decks, and it's very difficult for her. In my case, I also have a renter that's close to me, and he has a lot of friends, he loves to drink, and they get rather rowdy, and they walk right past my bedroom window, which is this close, because we're very close together. And it's definitely a problem. I've lived in the neighborhood, both sides of the lake, for the last 13 years, and I see a big change. And right now, I made a video for Linda because the renters that she's talking about have party lights, 2 of them across the water, and they leave them on all night. They flash like this. And they've got a different pattern. They're still, and then they go like this, and then they go like this. They're all night. So it's very disturbing. It feels like they want to party. They're kind of used to partying when they're on vacation, and they bring their party life with them. But we're a small, quiet community. That we live there, and you can feel how it's changing. And at the rate we're going, as soon as, like, we have an elderly person that's about 92 or 3, she may be selling soon. We may get someone else who decides to make it a rental. And all of a sudden, on that stretch of the lake, we'll have a lot of rentals right there. And it's just, I don't know if someone said this, but there needs to be maybe grandfathered in who is renting now with some regulations, but there really needs to be some sort of damper on it, or those of us that live there are really going to have to be, we're just going to have to leave because it's like a party. It's getting to be a party area. Of course, that only happens basically during mostly summer. It's quieter in the winter, so that's at least a relief. But I did want to just add that. And I know it's a very difficult situation because you can't please everybody. But I think we just wanted to share that, yes, there are some people who do a great job of vetting their renters, and that's great. The people that lived on the other side of me would always request a family, especially with grandparents, because they thought it would be quieter, and it was fine. But then you'd get all these kids and they'd all be running around and coming next door to see what you're doing. The dogs that bark continually as soon as I open my door and I go outside is what bothers me, and of course. Okay, but anyway, I hope you get a flavor of that and
Thank
come
you.
visit us in the summer.
Anyone else?
Oh,
Short-term
well,
rental?
We have the video of the flashing lights. No, you're not here.
You could email it to us if you'd like.
Okay.
T. Rewa, South Salem. So the Lenape sold their land to the British, Dutch, and French settlers. And the first thing that they built on South Pond was a hotel that named Oscarita, Spanish for little kiss. So from the very beginning, this community was a hospitality community. Over the next century, 12 fishing rental cottages became my bigger neighborhood. 50% of those are still second or vacation homes. This has always been a welcoming, transient community, not gated, not a bedroom community. We wave at strangers, share fishing spots, and recommend restaurants. We're like the golden retrievers of Westchester County. So, clearly, I'm not a cranky North Salem billionaire. And clearly, I'm not a get off my lawn person. But whoever drafted this regulation very much is. Let's remember that our history, our Lewisboro spirit, and the title of our comprehensive plan, Making Connections, not making it harder for people to visit. I haven't heard one good reason for this law yet. Not one. Short-term rentals are so quiet you would hardly know that they're there. They pay millions in extra taxes that subsidize our roads and our schools. They help new families discover and move into our area. It's a free marketing campaign for Lewisboro. They're locals, run by locals, for locals. They're safer, cleaner, more code compliant, better insured, and they pour millions into local businesses. And they look fantastic. I've done this for 5 years with over 500 visits and not one single complaint. Amazing. My family can't even manage 5 minutes without complaining about something. So STRs are not STDs. They're not a disease to be controlled and eradicated. They're a vitamin boost to our healthy, prosperous Lewisboro. We're unsung heroes here, not villains. We're the little kiss that our community really needs. So, no permits, no day limits, no ownership rules, no unnecessary bureaucracy. To quote a town board member, I just don't understand what problem this regulation is trying to solve. Neither do I, neither should you. Who doesn't like a little kiss? Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Short-term rentals? How about on Zoom, Jen? And again, this is the public hearing for the short-term rental regulations.
Jill, I'm asking you to unmute. If you could state your name and hamlet, please.
Thank you very much. This is Jill Cowell, 24 Cove Road and 34 Old Pond Road, South Salem. And I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my husband, Jordy Sarah. So first, since it has been raised, I would like to address the comments about 22 Cove Road. And this is absolutely nothing personal. I just want to be clear that the tenants that have been referred to are not short-term renters. It happens to be a police officer with 2 young children. And the rules in the lease are extremely clear about parties and occupancy. And if there was any issue at all, my neighbors have my phone number and we live a 5-minute walk away. We are not absentee owners. We are literally 5 minutes door to door. We saw the tenant today. She's lovely, and she would be absolutely shocked to hear that there were any kind of complaints. So I think a lot of these things can be dealt with by communication, neighbor to neighbor, if there are any issues. We have turned down many lucrative offers because we care about our neighbors, we care about the quality of life, and we're very careful who we rent to. So again, this is not a short-term rental, but because it was brought up as one, I just wanted to clarify that. Just some facts. As far as we know, there are between 2,500 and 2,800 households in South Salem. And at any given time, we think from scanning the internet, there are between 30 and 40 Airbnb, and I don't know if it's called Verbio. So 30 to 40, that's less than 1%. I'm not sure if the impact or the real concern is lake health. Okay, if that's a real driver, then I would advocate that the rules of emptying septic tanks should be enforced. That's something that the town has more control over. We've also calculated per head usage of our rental. And if you compare it with a two-person household, say an average two-person household, which is probably more, say 720 human days per year in terms of usage, we are far below half of that, even at maximum capacity of what we've done. So I think we need to be very careful about using the septic tank, but again, as a reason for not doing this, we care very much about lake health. As I've said before, I'm a botanist. We're very careful about using any pesticides and herbicides, etc. In terms of nuances like parties or noise, the town has ordinances that can already cover that. So that's basically in a nutshell what we wanted to say. Please communicate. We ask our neighbors to communicate if there are issues. I think this can be dealt with in a very neighborly way.
Okay, I'm sorry, but your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gustav Levy, I'm asking you to mute.
Yeah, hi, Gus Levy, 70 Cove Road. If you have a problem with anybody that you see, you should just go up to them and say, hello, my name is so-and-so. Your dog pooped on my lawn. Could you do something about that? I mean, it's just neighborly. If you have problems just going up to a stranger, then, you would have problems with somebody moving into town that is new. So that's problematic if that's what your problem is with these renters. I find that all the renters that I've experienced have come up to me and introduced themselves and even invited me to these parties, which are not really even parties. They're more like, cocktail hours. And there are a lot of parties on this lake. You can hear them across the lake. People complained about walkabuck. That doesn't seem to be a problem to anybody. You claim to be this welcoming community. Well, you're not really showing it by not going up to these people who are, I guess, allegedly causing you problems and dealing with those problems head on. Maybe you should look within yourself and be more friendly to your own neighbors and to the people that are renting next to you if you really do have a problem. And when you say, oh, I don't want to call the police every 5 minutes, maybe that's because you don't have a real reason to call the police. Because if it were bothering me and if it was something that the police needed to deal with, that's who I'd call. So that's all I've got to say. I think if you install any of these rules, it's just a complete detriment to the already awesome community that we have. But if you do, it's going to be almost impossible to police these types of things, especially when there are already ordinances in place for noise and parties and occupancy and things of that nature. Yeah, don't do this. This is stupid.
All right, thank you. That's it.
That's it? Okay, great. All right, so I'll motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Discussion?
Just, so we're closing it, but we're not voting for time on this because we have some work to do yet, right? Just so everybody's clear. on that.
Right, so we're gonna close the public hearing and then we're gonna take the input, which, thank you, we received a lot of input from both sides. So we're gonna take a look at that and then see what we need to do as far as next steps. But for now, we're gonna close the public hearing. Any other discussion?
And so if we revise what was currently proposed, would there be a second? Okay,
There
so
would
there'll be
be,
a, thank you, there'll be a
Yeah, we would
renotice.
renotice.
Okay,
Right, right.
okay.
Okay, just so everybody at home understands, it will take in the information. We'll have a working session.
Yes.
If we make changes to what's been proposed, we have to have a second public hearing.
Just one thing. If anybody has any input from I'm a little, I'm questioning as far as like from the homeowners association perspective on the lakes, there are homeowners associations and then and it's to some extent, and it's private lakes. So if somebody can give me some input as far as to the extent that they are in areas affected by this and to the extent that they can do anything referable to regulate.
Yeah, and they're not formal.
Yeah, two more, okay.
Yeah, and they're not formal homeowners organizations, they're sort of voluntary participant groups on the lakes. So there isn't
an
There
HOA.
isn't an HOA. It's not a formal HOA.
Well, you say it's not a formal HOA. There's a
It's-
HOA with governing documents or there's not.
The governing documents don't regulate the use of properties in this way currently, at least in some of them. I don't know about all, I only know about the one that I'm in and on the lake. And
Yeah, because just again,
it's a shared group of people that share rights of way. So most of the documentation is related to the rights of way, how you can access the lake in the community. And the maintenance of the rights of way is a shared expense. That's really what it is. It's not a homeowner's work.
right, because again, I'm still, if anybody has any input on that as far as, the enforcement aspect of this, some, we have input as far as people talking about changing the neighborhood and people who are coming in. We do have code things referable to noise and other things. And so you can't say, okay, the people that are renting at least some level or a certain way, and the people that are going to buy are going to be fine. I mean, we have the same code that applies to everybody. So again, I hear the issues that certain people have and other people have, but whatever come up with has to be something that's, enforceable, something that's going to work in order to further whatever the intention of the legislation, final drafting, that's what makes it, challenging.
Well, that's what we're gonna look at, because enforcement would be, you're talking about enforcement by a group, right?
Well, no,
No,
in
for
general,
the town.
I mean, I was asking
for
the
the town,
issue is
yeah.
whether, so, even from like, okay, if I wanted to go in swimming in Lake Wacabuck, because I felt like it off the dock, I can't, it's private. But then with somebody, gonna call the police, you're out swimming and, maybe, I guess.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
There are two more comments
Yeah.
Two more.
online,
Sorry.
so
Yeah,
we
sorry.
have to table the closing of,
Yeah, so
The
table,
public
we'll
comment.
table the motion.
yeah.
We had a second,
Yeah,
second
we're to
discussion.
discussion.
Okay, so withdraw the motion and let's go back to the public hearing.
Where did they just go? Their hands were up.
Short-term rental regulations, public hearings still open.
Simone, did you want to discuss the public hearing?
No, I was waiting for public comment number 1.
Okay, all right, and I'm assuming, okay, I'm gonna mute you again. Barbara Mangione, same with you, public comment 1 or public hearing?
Public comment 1.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll just go with
Okay,
So we untable it?
untable.
so motion again to close
Yeah.
the short-term rental regulations public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion from the board? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
So we'll, we'll go back and take a look at this and keep everyone posted.
We are thinking about having a work session, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should, once we get some,
I think we should probably have
A
that
draft of-
before, I would recommend like before we get into the draft, because we just have
Oh,
these
yeah, okay.
fundamental, questions and elements that people have raised.
Right.
Let's kind of see how much alignment.
I think
get on those.
we already have, you put something together. I think Julia also
Yeah.
already tabulated some of the input, so we'll take a look at that and discuss it over a work session. Okay, great. So moving on, public comment number 1. So anyone here would like to speak about anything else? Name, Hamlin, you have 3 minutes.
Hi. I am Dawn Christopher. I am from South Salem. I'm sort of following up on the whole heliport discussion. 2 weeks ago, or I sent 2 letters in. I sent the first one in on 3/30/26 to the whole board on behalf of all our neighboring property owners. I followed up with a letter to the supervisor asking to be on the agenda tonight. I was told we could not be on the agenda tonight, and we understand that. But given what came out in the ZBA hearing, the large turnout, the number of residents, the amount of concern, it was really clear that it's still a significant issue in our community. At that hearing, at the ZBA hearing, there were 90 plus, maybe even close to 100 people that came out that night. So it was really clear that people are upset about it. When the ordinance was passed last summer, I believe there were 3 people for the hearing. So clearly, the majority of the people in the community were not aware of the hearing. And when they were aware this time, we had a huge outpouring of people. Even though this particular application has been withdrawn, the handlers were lovely enough to step up and withdraw their application. The bigger issue is still the code itself. That hasn't changed. It's not going to stop somebody else from coming up and trying to do the same thing. To be clear, we are requesting that the town board reverse local law number 8 and return to the prior code that did not allow helicopter use, private helicopter use. We believe this type of use is not appropriate in a residential setting. We'd like to point out that other areas, Bedford, North Salem, Pound Ridge, none of those areas allow local helicopters. Even Ridgefield came out really strongly at the ZBA, to the point where their super selectmen, I guess they call them, went and hired their own private lawyer to come and fight this issue. So the whole surrounding areas clearly don't want this. We're not here to re-argue anything tonight. We're simply asking for the acknowledgement of the requests that we have made previously in letters and some clarity from the board on how we go forward. I don't know if it's gonna, I assume if you're reversing something, there has to be a public hearing. So we would just like to know from you so that this doesn't get pushed down the road for another few months. So that's it. I'm not sure the process of how you would tell this group. I represent many, many neighbors and people in Lewisboro all over. And clearly the immediate threat to the neighbors in our area is gone, but it doesn't mean that people throughout Lewisboro couldn't be affected with another application. So if you can just tell us what you expect, that would be great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, how about over Zoom, Janet?
Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute.
Can you hear me, Janet?
Yes, I can.
Thank you very much. Barbara Mangione from Golden's Bridge. As we transition into the new business segment, I just wanted to once again ask the board to please be fiscally responsible. Rich always is. Rich asks questions. It seems like nobody else does. We have 4 items for bond presentations. And then we have another almost $400,000 for KG&D for work for the police station. That's a total of $1.6 million right off the bat. I wanted to know why we are doing a bond resolution for these purchases as opposed to taking from our reserve fund, and why there doesn't seem to be, at least publicly, a cost analysis on the difference between paying for these items in those 2 different ways, rather than just immediately going to bonds. We're going to be swimming in bonds. We have the $2.5 million bond for the building. We have potentially another $850,000 that we may own if you get a grant to put crosswalks and sidewalks on state roads. We have bonds coming from the schools. You cannot compartmentalize and say, we're talking about the town, because we as residents are being hit from all over. And when you start overtaxing residents, you get things like small business and economic development deterrence. You get lock-in effect where people don't want to move or feel they can't move. And you have reduced property values and tax base erosion. So I am asking you once again, we have to figure out something. We can't just keep hitting our residents, myself and many, many hundreds of other people, with these constant bonds. I would like to see, as a resident, rather than agreeing to at least the first 4 things tonight, I'd like to see a cost analysis comparison between bonding for these things versus paying for them from our reserve fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Craig Carroll, I'm asking you to unmute.
Craig Carroll, South Salem. I want to address what happened at the last meeting. Respectfully, the town board should never have allowed the superintendent to speak in that setting, period. When has that ever happened in the history of this town? I understand that it wasn't a town hall meeting, but once you allowed the superintendent to come and speak, it effectively became one. If that kind of platform is going to be given, then taxpayers should have the same opportunity to ask questions and be heard. That did not happen, and instead of a balanced discussion, what we saw was a sales pitch. For the board members who did not support allowing the public to ask questions, those are the moments that define your role. You were elected to represent the community, and that includes making sure the public has a voice. I do want to thank Rich Sclaren for being the one member who stepped up, asked questions, and represented the concerns that many of us have. It is also worth noting that one board member who was very supportive of this project when they sat in the school board had no comment and chose not to support allowing the public to ask questions. That is difficult to understand and only adds to the concern. With respect, the way that meeting was handled fell short of the standard this community expects and deserves. When taxpayers are not given a voice, it undermines trust. I also encourage everybody here and residents in the community, when you drive past LES, take a look for yourself. The condition of that property speaks for itself. The town is currently renting space at LES. I understand the property may fall under the responsibility of the Board of Ed, but is the town comfortable with the current conditions there? There are crates of solar panels sitting at the north end of the parking lot for several months, exposed to the elements, with some boxes already ripped open. From what I understand, they are not even scheduled to be installed until the summer. Hopefully, they're still there and usable by then. The back driveway leading to the playground is full of standing water and has become a breeding ground for mosquitoes. And there's debris piled up at the north end of the parking lot. Looks like a dumping ground. If this were private property, there would be immediate complaints and likely action from the town. Why is this being allowed here? My point is that these are basic maintenance issues. If the district is not taking care of what it already has, how are we supposed to trust them with a $25 million project? A big part of this proposal, and likely part of the town's interest in allowing the superintendent to speak, is the community space being offered. But if the town wants to hold a senior event or a community meeting here, will it have to pay to use a space that was built on the taxpayer dime? The town should be investing in its own community center, not relying on a space that's owned by the school district whose priorities may not align with the town's best interest. This community deserves clear answers and a real opportunity to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Simone O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
Loved everything Craig said. Hello again. Of course, I only have 3 minutes, as was made painfully clear the last time Dean Travellino spoke at a meeting, as he struggled to breathe and was cut off with Tony thanking him. I'm certain the Civil Disabilities Act speaks to this, but Dean said nothing. He was a true gentleman, intelligent, and contributed so much to our town. There are people who talk endlessly about what they've done, and it's nothing compared to all of Dean's quiet accomplishments. May his Lewisboro legacy be to help us work together for the betterment of us all. Politicians in our county give out awards for photo opportunities, and yet people who deserve them rarely get them. He will be missed, and I personally thank him and his family who graciously shared him with us all. Bringing the KLSD superintendent here to sell us 9 or 11 classrooms for universal pre-K at a starting cost of 25 million, in which we will then have the privilege to apply at a cost to rent a room for our seniors or for whatever, was quite a show, but one where we were not permitted to ask even one question. It's a vote of no for Proposition 3 for me on May 19th, and hopefully for all of us. Send them back to the drawing board. I'm told the superintendent will be making an appearance on May 6th, where he will push his sale pitch to our seniors. And perhaps there we can ask a question or two. It did feel like a show, but even smoke and mirrors can't sell this overpriced proposition. Finally, at the last town board meeting, I was verbally assaulted by a town resident who came in late and sat next to me, and not for the first time. I sent a letter to this very board and asked for help. I have not received even the courtesy of a reply, not from Mary Shaw, the Be Kind councilwoman, or Julia Hadlock, who at the very least, I thought she understood how meetings run after serving 9 years on the Board of Ed, the last 2 as president. And most importantly, not from our town supervisor, who allegedly is in charge of these meetings. In fact, I was going to come tonight, but I'm on Zoom today because you have not made a safe space for me to attend. And with no communication, it was safer for me to stay home. You have now been put on notice in writing and verbally that if this unhinged person verbally assaults me one more time, you will all be just as culpable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Simone. Letitia Stapleton, I'm asking you to unmute.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to thank you, board, for all the work you're doing. I'm so sorry that some people are taking things in a different way. However, I'm sending my deepest condolences to the Ray family. And I hope you all know everyone is on notice now. Thank you.
Thank you, Letitia. And that's it.
Okay, thanks, Janet.
Just to close.
Let's just go through the.
Oh, just to tie this for Greg, because it was referenced as far as the helicopter legislation.
Let's go through the agenda.
No, I just want,
polling on the board.
No, I just want to ask, enough for now. It can be just something
So
that I
it's
want
like
to.
polling on the board.
People is.
We have to stick to our rules, or else I get yelled at.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I'm asking, yes, based upon something was said, I'm asking the town
Can you
attorney
wait
something.
polling on the board? Unless the board would like to,
I'd just like to ask him one thing based upon something that just came up, as far as just to brief us later, as far as the existing legislation, and if it was rescinded, what that would take us back to, that's all. Huh?
Process.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Greg. All right, communications. I have a few things. First, this is a letter I received from the New York State Town Clerks Association. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll paraphrase. It is my, on behalf of the New York State Clerks Association, it is my honor and pleasure to inform you that Janet Donahue, our town clerk, has been awarded this association's registered municipal clerk recertification. And this will be attached to the minutes, but they are pleased to have Janet as a member of their association and deeply appreciate our encouragement of her involvement with this association and the registered municipal clerk program. So thank you very much, Janet, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the town of Lewisboro were awarded a Westchester County Department of Environmental Facilities Award last week for achieving the highest municipal curbside recycling rate in Westchester County in 2025. And that is based on data collected by the haulers that is reported to us. And then Joe Smith, who's our facilities manager, he reports that to the county. And based on those figures, we were awarded with this award and a couple of certificates. One is a certificate of achievement signed by our county executive, Ken Jenkins, and one is from the Westchester County Board of Legislators, a certificate of merit. So it was very nice to be there representing Lewisboro. The only other municipality that won an award is Somers. So congrats to Somers for achieving the highest municipal waste reduction by percentage in Westchester County in 2025. So thank you, Lewisboro. And then I have, related to the Oak Ridge Water District, the system that we've been working on for a couple of years, this is the plant expansion to put in a granular activated carbon filtration system to remove PFAS, has gone online last week. So we did get a letter that was forwarded to me by Delaware Engineering from the Health Department saying that the receipt of construction compliance certification letter and satisfactory water quality testing reports for the reference water treatment system installation is hereby acknowledged. This department has no objection to commission the newly installed PFAS treatment system at Oak Ridge Water Treatment Plant into service at this time. And it goes on to say about the new testing requirements that are going to be required as part of this system being online.
And we'll do that testing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the health department will require it. So, but it's a good, it's a major accomplishment. The switch flipped and we're running the water through this third level of filtration. So long time coming, and we did a lot of upgrades as well to the infrastructure of that plant as part of this project. So it was a very interesting and very worthwhile project. And if you ever get a chance to drive down there, once the dust settles, I'll be arranging tours if anyone wants to take a look, especially the Oak Ridge residents. It's a very impressive
I think they should go first.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the communications. We don't have anything for consent agenda. We'll jump right to new business. So the first item is a bond resolution for the acquisition of heavy machinery and vehicles for maintenance purposes. It's a $465,000 bond anticipation note, not a bond, but it's a bond anticipation note. So I'd like to go ahead and motion that we pass this bond resolution for heavy machinery.
Second.
That's second.
Yeah.
Now discussion.
Yeah, could you just give a little thumbnail as far as what we're.
So this.
Yeah, so this was.
So that maybe Annie can just
Yeah,
people
Annie can come up.
If I can just finish my sentence. Yeah, so you can distinguish so everybody understands between a bond and a bond anticipation note.
Yes.
For
But
finances
before-
101, and then explain what we're getting for that.
But before we do that, I just want to make it clear that the items that are in this bond resolution were discussed with the board members and were presented at a prior board meeting. So it's nothing new.
I have that.
I'm right there.
Yeah.
It is a bond resolution.
It is a bond resolution, but we're,
You're authorizing up to that amount, and then you may issue the bond anticipation notes.
That's right.
correct. Right.
And the bond anticipation note just gives us a little bit of flexibility in order to go into a borrowing now. And then when that becomes due in 1 year, we have the option to renew, pay it off, or roll it into a bond. So this is just a way for us to finance it without going into the fund balance any more than we already have. The auditors were here last week. We should probably hear from them in the summer as to where the fund balance is now. But as we all know, in 2025, we had a significant number of items that we used fund balance for, and it was all appropriate, but we want to make sure we keep an eye on that balance so that we don't get ourselves in trouble. We can afford to borrow for these things. We're earning interest in the high yield account, as I mentioned before, and the interest rate we were given on the bond on the band for the building was around 2.7%, which is a good rate for
Now,
us to borrow.
a bond anticipation note is frequently called a ban.
Correct.
Instead of a bond note. And a ban is the short-term borrowing. So we can pay it off quickly, we can roll it over, or we can figure out
Correct, and that has been my approach since I've started to talk about fund balance and capital purchases, is to have a mix.
And this is a common way that local governments pay for things, is that?
Correct. Especially with projects in the pipeline that you know will be needed to be bonded for. This is a way for us to kind of, we're addressing the needs of the fleet for highway and PD, which has been an issue for a long time. Long-standing parks and rec, infrastructure, safety, things that have been communicated for a long time and just kind of pushed off. We don't want to get ourselves into this constant pattern of the trucks breaking down and then we all of a sudden have to use fund balance to purchase it. We're lucky to be able to do it, but we should be getting ahead of it. These trucks are becoming more expensive to fix. The parts aren't made anymore. So we need to try to make a better effort of getting ahead of it. And that's what the department heads spoke with me about as one of their goals, is to keep the fleet healthier.
Just remind us, what's our interest that we're getting on
the high yield?
Yeah.
We're around 3.5%.
So, because the question came up on the public comment, like, should we be bonding or using surplus?
Right.
So that's really the answer. It almost pays at this point. Because you're making more money by keeping money.
We really only get the picture of the fund balance after the auditors sign off on their report, and that's not happening until the summer. So this report is where we're going to see where the fund balance went with the capital uses that we did last year.
And I think it's to make an analogy to people's personal finances, if that's helpful. There's times when having a mortgage and a low interest rate is less than investing in your retirement account with a higher interest rate. So there's like a sort of an emotional response to want to pay your mortgage off faster, but actually your cash in the bank is going to make money and you can use that to pay your mortgage in the future. And that's essentially what we're doing as a town. We're strategically putting our cash where we're making over 3% and we're borrowing where we're paying less than 3%. So the net of that is that we're going to make money on the money that we currently have in our fund balance as we pay it off over time.
Correct.
So just to refresh on the 465, up to 465 for this bond, what are the purchases that we have for this?
Do you have a copy of this? This was part of the agenda.
Yeah, well, just,
Okay,
I
sure.
know it was. I'm just-
Okay.
For
So
somebody who doesn't have an encyclopedic
Sure.
recollection of what we talked about a few meetings ago, to say, by the way, this is what the 465 is buying.
The 465 is the total of items with a PPU, which is the period perpetual usage for 15 years. It's considered heavy machinery. It's a dump truck for highway, along with two kinds of pickup trucks that are going to be decided on, along with a plow truck for maintenance. Those are considered heavy machinery. That total is $465,000, and that's the first item for the bond resolution on the agenda.
And what you're reading is in the agenda packet.
Correct, yeah. This was the list that was presented at the meeting in March, but the bond council came in and split it out by useful life, because that's how we have to draft the bond resolutions. Depends on how long the item's going to be in use for.
Okay.
And
Any other discussion?
these are the same trucks and vehicles that our highway superintendent and his staff, as well as our facilities team, need to do the excellent job that they're doing.
Correct.
Anything else? Any other discussion?
And this was part of a pretty thoughtful list. I mean, I can speak for maintenance and highway both, so I'm considering they're the ones who have this type of machinery. They did think out into years ahead and said which things they would absolutely need to be replaced now, which is this immediate list. And then they have items on a list that go out for a few years in an effort to build up to where they want to be, where they think they need to be.
That's the third ban.
That's, no, no, that's like
No, that's-
for future years, like when we,
Future.
this is just for now.
Okay.
And if I could just add, the bond that we took out in 2024, that was made up of several bans that had been in place prior. So we took that opportunity when the bond rates were attractive to move all those bans into the bond.
The borrowing rate was low.
Correct.
Yes, that's right.
So any ban by definition is the 1-year term, right?
It's a 1-year initial term where you can renew for up to 5 years unless the useful life is lower than 5 years. Does that make sense? It's the 5 years or the useful life, whichever is lower. So we can, for the machinery, we can renew that for 5 years because it's useful
They
life
should
of 15
last
years.
for
Yeah.
more than
Well,
5
they say 15 years.
And the separation of these into these separate bands, see, highway maybe because it's different account or?
No, that, this is
based
on
on
bond
useful
council's
life.
recommendation based on the useful life
Useful
of the
life.
items. So the
Okay.
first item A are the items that are 15-year useful life because they're considered heavy machinery.
Okay.
And I mean, I could speak to the others unless you want to go just A.
Well, the
Well,
vehicles.
Well, let's
Let's do one
Let's
ban
one
at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have the second. All in favor?
Roll
No,
call.
roll
Oh, roll
call.
call.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
So Greg, you looked over the draft and everything? Good.
Bond
Council.
council prepare them.
And yeah,
Okay,
right,
but
so you're,
the most important thing is the amount and the useful life, okay, and the purpose of that, particularly when it's for the three types of vehicles that we discussed, and it does have 15-year useful life, so.
Okay, roll call.
Aye.
aye.
Aye,
Mary Shaw, aye.
Dan Welsh,
motion carries. Next, we have the bond resolution for the acquisition of equipment and various improvements to town facilities. It's 491,000 bonds, in bonds. Does anyone want a motion?
I motion.
I'll second. Discussion?
We just same thing, we just get a thumbnail
Sure.
on the 491.
Sure, that if you look at the list, 491 covers a tremendous amount of infrastructure work at the parks. There's a lawnmower, there's composting toilets, which has been an item on their list for a long time. A concrete slab at Fox Valley, baseball repairs, tennis court repairs, basketball court resurfacing, the retaining wall in the town park, baseball fields, Vista Park backstop. And then also through facilities and maintenance, there's the highway garage oil furnace, highway fence, highway oil tanks, On a True oil tanks, On a True barn siding, town park water system, and Cyrus Russell water system.
So we're dealing with a lot of longstanding physical infrastructure issues that have been on the list to be taken care of.
Correct, yes. So this group has a useful life of 5 years, but I think the idea is, especially with something like a town park water system, will likely last us longer than that, but this is how the bond council
That's how it's scheduled.
Recommended
That's how
that
they
they
recommend to do it.
include that.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I think it's really important that we take care of what we've got.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Mary Shaw, aye.
Dan Welsh,
Motion carries. Next is, I'll go ahead and motion that we purchase police and passenger vehicles. It's $160,000 in bonds.
So moved.
second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Wait, I do,
Oh.
just to make, just to
No,
let
just to-
everybody at home know, this is for a utility hybrid for the police department, as well as a work vehicle, possibly an EV for facilities, and an EV for the deputy building inspector. again, this is also based on the lifespan of
Right.
the equipment that we're buying.
Bond council considers passenger cars to be the lowest of the useful life, so it's 3 years.
3 years? Wow.
We'll
Who
probably
knew
hold
a
on to
car
them
would-
longer, but,
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Okay.
okay, roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Dan Welsh, aye.
Okay, next is a bond resolution. This is new, but the board has been made aware of this. This is for road reconstruction, $150,000. As a motion?
This is the, okay, we're not
Motion.
discussion.
I'll move that motion.
And I'll second it.
Discussion?
This is on the culvert, part of the.
No River.
Yes, this is the Tribrook
Tribrook Drive.
Drive.
This is
Culvert.
anticipated like emergency road work that our superintendent feels is necessary outside of what we already have budgeted. So we just don't want to have another failure.
Another Oscillata situation,
And,
so.
and this is, you know, he sent us pictures, the things about to fall apart. We don't want to have another collapsed culvert.
Very concerned about it. So I think this is-
We took money, a little money out of his reserve, so it's at the last budget season. So it's the least thing we can do to help cover the cost for our town's roads.
Right, and now road reconstruction is a 15-year life also.
I think it's $150,000 well spent.
Would that, we're voting on it separately, but would that be in the ban with the 465 or would it be its
No,
own?
it's
ban?
No, it's its own because
Even though
it's
it's the
not,
same
it's not
line.
considered machinery.
Oh, heavy
it's-
machinery.
it's
Got it.
road
Sorry. Okay.
reconstruction.
So same period of time, but
Same
different
period.
category. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you.
So on the schedule, roads and culverts, it's all in the same 15 years, doesn't matter, okay.
So that 150 will be spent on anything that is considered road reconstruction, however, the superintendent feels it's needed to be used.
In his professional experience.
Okay, roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Dan Welsh, aye.
Okay. Next, we have a resolution for KG&D Architects. It's a design proposal.
Can we thank Annie for her guidance with this?
Well, hang on a little bit, just in case.
Oh, is that- okay.
Design proposal for the police department headquarters. So can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
So we wanna
And
get
I
off on
have-
this or?
Yeah, we're done with the bond resolutions, so this is the KG&D.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, you wanna leave it off on that?
Yeah. Oh, okay, I thought you
Yeah.
were pointing to something there. So if there's any questions, I did invite Eric Kyer from KG&D. He's on. Chief Alfano is on as well, I believe. And we have had several meetings, discussions, and we decided to break this out into phases and start with phase one, which is the design phase for $137,500. And basically that includes, as part of site planning, review and refine the site layout based on the recently received site survey, includes review of the building setbacks from Spring Street and the adjacent property lines, collaboration with civil engineering regarding the septic, the stormwater, which is all in the works, parking spaces, walkways, site planning, conceptual planting plan. There's building planning, review and refine the floor plan layout, discussion of building systems as well as materials and finishes, the building exterior, building materials and details, the structural design. We're talking about using prefabricated construction versus standard build for the structure. Foundation system, framing materials. There's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection systems and discussion and determination of the most appropriate systems and sizes and their code compliance. Security and building zones. We're going to review and determine of the wall systems and security measures. Wall systems being the type of wall that you need for a highly secure police department headquarters. Technology and low voltage. It's worked with Town of Lewisboro Security and Data IT to develop the appropriate list of products and infrastructure for the building. Equipment and furniture. Assist the police department in preparation of a list of materials for pricing and budget. So that is what's included in phase one. It'll allow us to start the design work. while we have the other work that's being done in parallel with the health department and with KSCJ, with the site planning and the stormwater pollution prevention plan. In a nutshell, that's what it is.
Gets us in the budget. So, I guess, Greg, so, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, Greg, with KG and D, we don't have an exclusive with them in the services they provide with the town, right? In other words, we don't have to, we can ask them for proposals, but it's all ad hoc. It's like we need them and we can ask them for a proposal on whatever we need within the scope of their professional expertise, right? In other words, okay, so what I'm getting at, okay, so we have a, was it over $350,000 proposal? And that's what it is, it's a proposal. What do we have by way of options to ensure that this proposal is competitive? So this is a professional services proposal. No different if I was gonna go paint my house and I decide I wanna get two proposals. One person's gonna charge X, one person's gonna charge Y, and then I'm gonna find out about their painting reputation and make a determination based upon all that. In other words, this is the only proposal I presume that we've gotten for this work, right?
I can't say for certain that that's the case. I know that they've been on board for a period of time here in connection with this project as it's being considered. But it's professional services in the term of art sense with respect to the GML. Meaning it's exempt from the bidding requirements. Now you have your own procurement policy, which is waivable in terms of whether you wish to get competitive pricing on any type of professional services like you have for KSCJ or that you have for Veolia. Sorry,
KSCJ,
whoever does your operations and your plants. Those are
right.
You're considering technical professional services that are required under the state law to be competitively bid before you'll.
But if I can add, we did early on when we first started talking about this, when we knew we had to pursue new facilities for our police department, we did interview 3 architectural firms, and we had proposals from all of them.
But not for this board, right?
Yes, we did. And that's been shared with the board early on. This goes back a few months. And then we had, but in terms of getting the concept work, KG&D gave us the better price to do the conceptual plan.
That was the earlier part, right? Not this phase.
Well, the original proposals were for the entire phase. It's the approximately $380,000 to $400,000. And after interviewing those 3 architectural firms and together with the chief, we decided that KG&D would be the most appropriate for us to work with.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have, they've been with the town a long time and I know them from my planning board time, et cetera. But as to this, the specific question is how do we know that this component, this professional services proposal for around $350,000 is a good price, as it were? How do we know that?
Yeah,
because I'm not a professional services person. But if we had 3 proposals saying, you would know, same way like the painting.
Correct. So the other proposals were broken down as well. And this was the more, for multiple reasons, we made a decision to go with KG&D, including the concept plan, which the other outfits were willing to do at a much higher rate.
But is there a way to extrapolate to compare this component to compare to the other ones?
I'll have to share with you again the proposals from the others because they did have a breakdown for the various services, just like KG&D have here. I don't have that information in front of me, but that had been shared with the board. And just to give you an overview, the other outfits were, there were some key reasons why we, in addition to this being a very thorough and well thought out proposal, they have some experience locally. They are local. They're easy to get a hold of and work with.
All those things have a value for sure, but the way they give it to us is by charging us a certain amount of dollars.
Correct. So
that goes back to the same thing.
If we don't want to hire them for construction management, we don't have to do that phase 3. That includes construction management. We could go out to bid on that as well.
No, it's not a matter. It's not a matter of not wanting to or wanting to.
Yeah.
The point is the same. In other words, if somebody does quality work and it's a competitive price, then that's a compelling reason to hire someone.
And that's the compelling reason.
on the competitive price part, I haven't heard that aspect of it.
It's been shared with the board.
I know you said that. I heard you
Right,
say it a couple
okay.
of times, but as far as this,
It's been
if you
shared with
told
the
me,
board.
if you told me that this apples and apples comparison,
If I may.
the 350 versus this, if you took that piece compared to the other two, this is how it would compare. That would be helpful information.
Very competitive. But I don't have that information here in front of me because this is going back several months.
Right, that's why
Yeah.
I'm bringing it forward now.
Yeah,
Exactly,
okay.
because we're voting on it now.
Right. Did you want to say something? No, okay. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion? Everyone?
Yeah, well, maybe we can, if we can get that comparison, if there's on, I mean, just for one meeting to be able to compare it, I'd feel better based upon the amount of the expenditure, you know. Yeah.
It's not going to be better than this. I'll tell you right now. Now, you can go back and look at, if you feel that they shouldn't go, you know, do phase 2 and 3. But I think we need
Tony,
to start.
you're missing,
Yeah.
maybe you're missing my point, maybe
Yeah.
I'm not clear. I'm not saying they should. In other words, a compelling reason is that we took the three outfits that we were talking about.
Right.
And then since we're at this particular phase, we're talking about a big number. And if you would extrapolate what they were talking about in the interview with all three,
Yeah.
this component is competitive. If you told me, for example, this is whatever it is, 350-ish, whatever it is.
Right.
And the other ones we're talking about 4, and plus we have the relationship with them, we have the
Right.
experience with them, and it's less expensive. That's an incredibly compelling reason to vote for. I
Right,
just haven't heard that.
so the chief and I, Andrew Llewellyn also sat in the chief's absence. We visited the sites when we were considering different sites with all three firms. And this is the conclusion we came to. And their prices within that range. So I'm not in a position to go back. I wouldn't want to go back and entertain anybody else and spend time renegotiating with them.
I'm not looking to
And
do
we
that
need to
though.
move.
I'm just looking to know what the numbers are. That's
They're around the same range, 380 to 400,000 total.
So that's what the other two would be.
Correct.
Okay, so you're telling me it's within like a.
It's within, yes.
Within a
yes.
5 to 10% differential? Is that what we're talking about?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was hoping
Yeah.
to get.
All right, so I said that, but,
You did, but
okay,
now I heard it.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so, roll call?
Aye.
With that information, aye.
Aye.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Dan Wiltshire.
Okay, thanks, Eric. We didn't need you, I guess, and thanks, chief. You can go now. If you're still on.
Good. Annie,
And
thank you
Annie,
so
Annie, I
much.
think you're good. Sorry, yeah, so Annie, yeah, we had discussed this piece, and this was an email to the board. Fund balance for this first phase.
I don't like it, but I don't know that we
Yeah.
have a choice right
But
now.
we'll find out soon from the
Mhm.
auditors where we are, and then we'll figure out the next ones, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, next is discussion on the Wallace Preserve signage signs. So I'll let Mary lead this discussion.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion, probably related to the 250th anniversary of our country's founding. I've been trying to get the Henry Wallace Preserve cleaned up, but the problem is it's wetlands, and so we're limited to what we can do. I've been trying to get a sign put up. And hopefully, once we consult with the Wallace family and get the approval from them for the wording, because we want to be properly respectful to his impact and the heritage. We've got a couple of options. One is a sign that's made locally here. Another thing that I've looked at is with the town historian, Maureen Cole, is the William G. Pomeroy Foundation. They have grants that you can apply for and a criteria that you have to fill. There are only so many words that you can put up on the sign, but it's a very nice historical marker. And what we'd like to do is honor the former Vice President, Secretary of Agriculture, and a great researcher, and cares a great deal about the town of Lewisboro. He's done a lot of research on agriculture and tried to work for peace for our country. And I think we should have a permanent marker acknowledging the great work that he's done.
What did the family and caretaker say about this as
I-
far as having
I-
a sign as opposed to not?
I haven't heard back from them. I know that I spoke with the family during the library fair and told them everything that I'd done, reach out about trying to renovate the space, telling them I talked to the open space committee people, the chair, the trails chair, as well as Parks and Rec, and the highway department, and everybody feels like it's not a space we can do more than putting up a sign.
So
And they appreciate that.
so it's not a preserve in that sense that people could utilize it for passive recreation, for example. It's just something that we're leaving in its natural state,
Right.
period, right?
Exactly. And in the pack, that's a sign that's similar to other signs that we have here in the town of Lewisboro. And this is, if you look over here, is the other type of sign. It's a sign that's similar to what's up in Golden's Bridge.
For the bridge,
For the
the
bridge.
trestle, the train trestle that the Golden Bridge Hamlet organization pursued.
Because by us, you have to wild oats, they call it a preserve, even though it's like something that's exactly similar type thing. It's kept in the natural state, but it's not for any use,
Yeah,
so
we're
I don't know.
Preserving its natural,
Yeah, it's just to call it, okay.
it's not a park.
No.
So I'm bringing it up so people can be aware of it, and if they'd like to help, I'd be more than happy to have them join me.
What's the total size of the parcel ballpark, you know? Couple acres or something? 3 acres?
5 acres. Just over 5 acres.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
That's great.
So next action items are for you to consult
Reach out with the
and-
family and their caretaker. I'd like to do that for that, and if the family is willing, I'd also like to try and get a sign up to recognize Farview Farm, but I don't want to interfere with their right to privacy. It's a great place, and he's done a lot of work there to promote a lot of different things as far as agriculture goes. But if they don't want to sign up to recognize Farview, I would not put up a sign.
We need a bigger sign based upon the amount of words, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mary. Next is, I'll go ahead and motion that we authorize the submission of the RP 554 to Westchester County to correct the clerical error. So I'll provide a little input.
Second.
No, sorry, second. Discussion?
Yes, you're saying you want to just.
Yeah, so this was, we have, for the Oak Ridge District, we have a budget number for 2026, which when, in our finance system, when we plug that number in, a portion of it went to, there are 2 lines that the Oak Ridge District folks received in their tax bill. One is for the sewer O&M, the other one is for the sewer bond.
Operation and maintenance.
O&M is
for-
operations and maintenance,
for our
yes.
friends at home.
And the other one is the bond, which is a repayment of a bond at the town. When the town took over the plant, they had to borrow for upgrading the plant. And so some of that, due to this clerical error, some of those funds, rather than 100% of it going towards the sewer operations and maintenance, a portion went to the bond line. The total amount is accurate. It was just the appropriation was incorrect. So we have to file this form with Westchester County.
So it's an accounting itemization thing, basically.
Correct.
What we're doing is we're correcting the line on which we're recording or reporting this
We need to
information.
report, yeah, exactly. So Annie's working this and we should be all set. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Next is also related to Oak Ridge. It says water district, my mistake, it should have said sewer district. That is actually the emergency, so I'm gonna motion that we approve the Oak Ridge Sewer District Emergency Rotating Biological Contactor Repair. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion,
This from the communications, this is totally separate from what just came online, right? It's a totally different.
Yes,
aspect of
that's on the water side, the GAC or granular activated carbon system. This is on the sewer side, which, has been running like clockwork. Back in 2024, we did have an issue with the bearing going bad, and that was a major expense. And then we had the drive unit that rotates the biological contactor go bad. So the health department, so we had that drive went bad, so we had one RBC down, the other one was operational. But in the meantime, we're planning on approving at this board meeting the drive unit. But now the bearing on that one operating unit decided to go bad this week, Monday. So now we have two RBCs which are down. And so we have a backup system in place that does the biological stuff with the wastewater that comes to the plant. But we need to get this fixed. And now in addition to the drive unit, we need a bearing. The quickest way to do it is to get the good bearing that we had installed and move it to the unit that has a good drive and then get that RBC running. But then we would need a second bearing and that'll be down the road. But we need to get this done. And we had gone out to bid. There aren't too many companies that do this work. So we found a company called Kester that does this work with the original unit and provides a warranty. There was another company that would provide the unit, but no warranty. They could guarantee the installation.
None of this is gonna be on the quiz though, is it?
No.
It will be. Yeah, if you ever decide to take over administration of the sewer plant.
1 month from today.
So that's the story there. So we had, as part of the sewer budget for 2026, we were already taking into consideration that this RBC drive unit was going to need to be paid for, but not the bearing. So we're going to keep a close eye on the operations and maintenance, and hopefully things like sludge hauling will be lower this year than it was last year, and will help us pay for this. So that's any other questions, discussion?
Just wondering if they're doing sort of preventative maintenance that would help us to avoid emergency stuff, or do they have any of this kind of like vibration testing to see if the bearings are starting to go or something like that? Just
right, and that's something we should look into. I mean, these things are 40 years old, right? These units. So, is there anything that could have been done to keep an eye on the bearings to make sure that they don't fail, or the drive unit?
If you know they're about to go, or schedule. Anyway, that's something to discuss.
Right, exactly. I mean, and somewhat related, we've already started some dialogue with Delaware Engineering about the future design of the sewer plant and replacing these RBCs with these aeration units that don't use RBCs potentially. And that's essentially what they're doing now. They actually put a makeshift aeration system together to do the biological, the thing that breaks down the waste. So, but that is something that's down the road, and ideally we would want to do that with grants if possible. And so we'll see. But for now, we need to keep that plant up and running with what we have. Yeah.
So this is kind of a left field on the water, the fact that everything's online and we've invested all this money. Does this potentially make it marketable as far as somebody taking it over?
I've had some discussions with council about that, but
Usually works in reverse.
Municipality, and once municipality takes ownership, they can't get rid of it.
Runs the facility and they decide they want to abandon it, and then you take it over as transportation corporation law. It's unlikely that that's a scenario that I can envision. Those RBCs are from the original plant construction.
No, but I mean, even the water, like the system, in other words, can somebody,
can we?
Well, you have operators. It's different than them owning the system, but they certainly are operators for the purposes of maintenance and repair.
But he's talking about handing over the system, selling it to someone like a Viola, like happened at Heritage Hills and Somers. But that was not municipal owned. That was private.
But it's always been private.
Huh?
Heritage has always been private.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
exactly.
you're saying that's why they
It
were,
was always privately owned.
Privately,
The
right,
town has a sewer district around it.
right. But Rich's point is if we wanted to not be responsible for managing this.
It's a longer conversation.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
it's-
know that it's going to be any benefit to the ratepayers there if you could do it, okay?
Yeah, based on what I've seen elsewhere, probably not a benefit to the ratepayers.
So it's a discussion.
Yeah.
That we can have another time.
Sure.
Okay. I have another thing, well, there's a new item for Oakridge, but let's just
Do we
continue.
wanna
Oh,
vote
did
on
we
that?
vote? Did we
Yeah,
vote?
we need to
So
vote
roll
on it.
call.
aye.
What was I think it was 30 something on this. I
Yeah,
remember.
it's like 30, yeah, and then there plus or minus, depending on delivery charges. I think I put that in my email.
That's from remember. So,
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Aye.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Dan Welch, aye.
Do we want to do at a cost not to exceed?
It's tough to say with these things because once they get on site, and they even said in their proposal that it's, let's see. This quote assumes an expected level of effort to perform the outline scope. Any unforeseen work outside of the scope will require prior customer authorization and will be billed at time and material.
So based upon what we know now, before they go in, that's what we're talking about, I think. Right?
Not to exceed,
I would say just as proposed.
as proposed.
As proposed, which is the 31.5, okay. Yeah, as
31,
proposed.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what,
And if there's any exceedance,
be
by the
supplemental.
board again.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, next is a resolution. So I motion that we approve agreement with the New York Power Authority for electricity supply. That is in the agenda packet. And so I have been talking to NYPA, New York Power Authority, for some time. And last year, and I learned about this through another supervisor, actually, North Salem Supervisor Lucas. They actually signed up to use them, where they provide a fixed rate for electrical supply. And after looking at some of our bills, and Annie can attest to that, our electrical bills have been exceeding our budget. And looking at some of the individual bills, we were as high as like 25 cents a kilowatt hour back in January. And here we can get rates of locked in for like 10 cents. In fact, I got the latest rates today. Yeah, so it changes over time, but we can lock in the rate. So the most current rate, for example, for a 3-year term, 100% green, because if we go with green, it helps us potentially with the climate smart community, where we get credits for sustainability initiatives, which helps us with grants. It would help us with, for example, a DEC grant that we didn't get. We lost points on the fact that we didn't have CSC certification.
Is this for everybody in the town? or
No, this is for the
just
town. This is only available to municipalities. Yeah, by the New York Power Authority.
This is like a municipal ESCO for municipal.
Correct.
It's the New Power Authority though. It's the New York State.
It's state.
Authority.
Yeah.
We talked about this at the Association of Towns.
So it serves the same purpose as if you were going out to an ESCO, but it's a public entity.
I think with the amount of power that we use, especially at the plants, like the sewer plants, the water plants, even at some of our facilities, I think having a fixed rate, so we don't have these heavy fluctuations that, with what's going on internationally, who knows where that's going to be in the future.
And there's no minimum usage to get the fixed rates, is there?
No.
We provided the different accounts that would be on this, so, they're basing it on, they're looking at the 12 months history and all that.
Right, so when I first approached them last year, they wanted to see all our accounts, basically the meter numbers and the account numbers, so I gave that to them. So it's based on that, plus we added the new building, 892.
So they wanted to check out our historical usage, and then that it's enough to offer these rates.
Correct.
So it has some bearing.
Yeah, yep.
Some connection to reality.
Right.
And is there a minimum length of time that we have to commit to?
Oh, there's a 1-year term.
I'm saying, do we want to talk about what because the rates are better if we commit longer, right? Or is it, doesn't matter, it
It's-
goes up no matter what?
So one year, for example, 100% green option for 1 year term, it's 90. Well,
So
I'll
they're
translate
like,
that
they're
to cents per kilowatt hour.
guaranteeing minimum growth
9.7.
because you would pay a little bit more now, but maybe like over the 3 years.
No, it's fixed rate.
Right,
for
what I'm
the
saying is,
entire-
if we say 3 years, we have to pay the 101, if I remember the dollar amount correctly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And
it's
so, like, can we,
correct.
Annie, do you have a thought on that? Like, if we sign now for 3 years, in the initial years, it's more, but we're guaranteed that rate without escalation for 3 years. So I don't know, it's not that much more between the 2 and the 3 year term.
Correct.
So I just don't know what people, if anyone has thoughts on that. Should we just do the year and try it out?
I
Or
would go for the 3 years.
You would go for the
I
3,
mean,
yeah.
Right now, as a fifth of the world's LNG capacity has been blown up.
LNG is liquid natural gas.
Which is what drives a lot of
A lot of the-
generation. When the last time there was an LNG shortage was the Ukraine, when that started up and prices went like tripled in that market. And there's no way to put this stuff back online in this time frame. Then on the other side of it is like if we compare this to sort of the retail rates that we've seen historically, right? You go back a half a year or something, maybe we were at like 8.5 cents, 9 cents, for some time. So what is the chance in these next couple of years that we're going back to those rates? The risk on that side is like, well, the utility might end up a penny cheaper. The risk on the upside is like, who knows? It could be quite high. So for me, this is a good insurance policy that, we're avoiding that risk.
Yeah, it's essentially like a 2, so if you take the 97.11 and you multiply it by 2% each year, you would end up at like 10103. So they're basically, if we think that there's a chance that the rate would go up more than 2% a year, we're better off taking the 3 year than the 1 year. Does that make sense? So
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, so.
Sure.
And it could go up 5% and then we've
It could
lost
go-
or
even more
20%. Yeah.
Bonkers, really.
So, I mean, Annie, do you have a thought on this?
I don't have a strong thought. I mean, I like the idea of locking into something for
For 3 years,
just,
okay.
I would just think, yeah, for planning purposes,
Would-
that's helpful. And then if you can bar any other bigger jump outside of that, but I think you guys did the research on it, so.
What's New York Power Authorities, what does that product mean for 51% green and what's 100% green? Is that hydroelectric? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. It's all
So 100% green is 100% hydroelectric?
hydroelectric, solar. That's for
Probably
state generating.
mostly hydroelectric.
Yeah,
but-
in New York would be hydroelectric.
But as long as it's New York State renewable and registered with the New York State system, then it's qualified.
So it's effectively hydroelectric power?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we're talking about.
I apologize. Did you move anything?
I did. I motioned, and did I have a second?
So can
I thought we had a
we?
second.
can-
second, yeah.
No, no
So
second?
can
I'm sorry,
I
I'll
thought
second.
she seconded.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I make an amendment to the motion that we approve the agreement for a 3-year period? Because
Yes.
the motion doesn't
That's fine.
specify, so that we amend the motion for a 3-year period.
Well, what's
Yes.
the motion for? Was
It was just as it's written. I didn't select an
Just-
option, but the 3 year would be the preferable. Yeah.
3 year at 100%.
Okay, so I'll second that motion,
That's an amendment.
second that amendment.
So once again, for our friends at home, that's 3 years at 100% green.
And, yeah,
And this
For
would
the
ensure-
town
right.
accounts, just the town. We're not enrolling anybody into this. And it's the New York Power Authority.
right, and then we still have to, so initially what happens is there's a form that will lock in the rate, but then they send us the actual agreement, and at that point,
We'll have to sign it.
we'll have to review
Have
the
you signed
agreement. No, Yeah, yeah, after we review it, yeah,
And council.
right. Okay,
So we have to.
so do we have to roll call on this? We should roll call, okay. Julia?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Mary Shaw, aye.
Dan Welch, aye.
okay, so move.
You've got one more item that you're.
Yeah, so
bringing on
there's
us?
a new item. It is related to Oak Ridge Water this time, so well pump number 2. We had an outage with that was caused by the electrical system that powers that well. And is somehow connected to one of the transfer pumps for the Equidine, which is a transfer pump at Oak Ridge for the sewer side. That work had to be done as an emergency to do that electrical work. We had, rather than use any other electricians, I had a call together with Joel and the operator of the plant. And rather than use an electrician that, we use for some of this work, plus this was a little more complicated, it required digging up junction boxes and identifying where there was a phase that was lost. And basically the pump didn't work. So that work was $9,000, and that is the company that's been at the plant doing the plant expansion. And so we did that today. I find out that the pump was not providing as much gallons per minute rate of pumping water back into the plant. So we had the pump pulled to take a look at it. The pump itself is good, but there's another piece to the pump, which is called the wet end, which is, there's a pump motor, there's a piece that goes into the water in the aquifer. It's about 300 feet on the ground. There was a hole in the pipe, and the wet end of the pump was bad. So to replace that is $11,200. If it was the whole assembly, it would have been over $20,000.
So
The whole
it's, are we paying for the transfer pump and the wet end?
The wet end of the pump, correct, and the pipe that had a hole in it, they sent me a picture. And the wiring associated with that specific, once they pull it up, they replace the wiring
And the
galvanized pipe.
grand total?
It's $11,200 for that.
And how old was that equipment?
This was from 2021.
And is
The
that,
pump, the whole assembly is 2021. The problem with the wells at Oak Ridge is the water's very hard and very high manganese, and that's not good for pumps. So they have a short life, shorter life than we would like them to have. So this was a pump that was replaced in 2021.
it was 4 years?
Yeah,
5
and that was the
years,
entire
right?
pump, but again, the pump itself is good. It's the wet end of the pump that's caked in manganese, and it's made up of these impellers and parts that failed as a result.
Is there anybody who we can hire from a diagnostic, take a look at the whole system? So, I mean, because we're
Pumps are
talking
difficult.
about 40-something thousand this meeting here. And like to take a look, even if there's
For
something.
the water side, it's 11,000 plus the 9,000 that was already done for the electrical work.
Right.
Yeah. So the only way to do it is to spend it. It costs about $6,000 to, believe it or not, to pull a pump, look at it, and all the components, including the wet end, and then put it back, because you got to bring in a lift and a hoist, because these pumps are deep.
I'm just wondering if it's worth making some kind of diagnostic investment, and then, okay, we know certain components, or we can schedule it out over time,
Coincidentally, I did ask for a schedule of all pumps that have failed over time, so that we can make an estimate as to when we think the next one's gonna fail. And then we can use that or Andy can use that to then update the budget.
We can use it
But that's a good
together
question.
to
So
make our
yes.
decisions.
Yeah. So I already spoke to the operator in Delaware Engineering today about doing that, pulling those records together. I have some from since I've been supervisor. But again, this was this was done just before me. I was on the board, but it was 2021 that this particular unit went bad. Yeah. And I learned from the health department that even though you have redundant systems, you need to get them back up running as soon as possible. And then what they do is there's sampling requirements for each of the wells. So you gotta have a working pump to draw water from, or else you get potentially fined for not being able to sample that water from that well. Any other questions? Discussion? So roll call?
Aye. Who made the motion in the second? I don't know.
I motioned.
And I seconded.
Aye.
Mary Shaw, I.
Dan Welsh, aye.
Okay. Oh, and I had a copy for each one. If you wanna. Okay, so that's it for the agenda, new business side. So public comment number 2 for new business only. Anybody here would like to speak? How about over Zoom?
Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute.
How is that?
Perfect.
Thank you. I just want to clarify something I said during public comment number 1 regarding new business. I did not question the necessity of purchasing the items in the resolutions from 1 to 4. It seems that somebody misinterpreted that on the board. What I was asking was what was the best way of going around purchasing it, which was bond versus reserve fund. So thank you, Annie, for clarifying that. It wasn't you, but I just wanted to clarify what my statement was about. Also, if it's not on the website as of yet, I think it would be a good idea, and I know it is something that I've seen on other towns, someplace on our website that says what our fund balance or our reserve fund, whatever you want to call it, was at the last audit, at the last formal audit, and what projects are in the pipeline, so we as residents could see what's in the reserve and what you are looking to take from that reserve. I think it's something that should be on the website. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Barbara. Simone O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, Simone from Vista. 2 quick things. First, I'm very happy that we're moving forward with the police department. I hope it goes quick because no one deserves it more than our police department. Best chief ever. And prayers for Officer Briggs, who's still recovering from that fire, and Sergeant Llewellyn as well, was injured, and all the first responders. And on F, with this Wallace Preserve sign, since we're speaking of signs, formally requesting one for the forgotten hamlet of Vista, where oddly enough, Councilwoman Shaw is from. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Simone. Carol Cernak, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, Carol Cernak, South Salem. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'd like to speak in regard to the discussion about the Wallace signage. The family is not interested in having signage. The town has had the property in their hands since the 70s, and there's a long history of it being used as a dumping ground. I fought for years to have it cleaned up. It finally was cleaned up, but I think that it probably should be put on the schedule to have maintenance or somebody to go in there and make sure it's not being, beer bottles and cans and toilet paper and stuff like that isn't scattered about. So the answer for that is no signage on the preserve, and certainly no signage at Farview Farm unless you're gonna put a post out, a security team out at the end of the driveway so we don't get trespassers. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carol. And that's it.
Okay, thanks, Jenna. Okay, next we have polling of the board. Mary.
Sustainable landscaping tips, Tuesday, April 28th at 7 PM, the Lewisboro Library. Our friends in the Conservation Advisory Council gave this to us to share. It's called Healthy Yards, Sustainable Landscaping Tips, Tuesday, April 28th, 7 PM at the library, about information about pollinator gardening, whether to leave your leaves or not. Fiona Mitchell, who is an expert in this information on sustainable gardening, will be speaking. So look at the website for Lewisboro Library to register to attend. Also on Thursday, the South Salem Fire Department is having a blood drive from 1:30 to 7:30, if I remember correctly. I will be donating blood as I have in the past. It's one of the biggest blood drive gathering in Westchester County, and the South Salem Fire Department is very proud of that. So let's see if we can get more pints collected than ever before. I'd also like to thank everyone who's donated clothing and toiletries for the Ray family. They were very touched and grateful for all of the support from the community. And we will also be thanking the first responders from our town, as well as the other towns who provided mutual aid, especially our police department as well. It's just incredible that how it's so important that we take care of ourselves and each other. And we're hoping for a quick recovery for Officer Briggs and Lieutenant Llewellyn. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Dan?
Echo the sentiments about our first responders and the condolences to the Ray family.
And, I'm sorry, before you, and to the Travellino family, we attended Dean's funeral this morning, and our heart goes out to Liza and the family.
Yeah. The landscaping event tomorrow, check with the library because it's actually filled up apparently.
Oh, I didn't know that was
that
already full.
popular.
Wow.
But people could drop out and stuff. So just check in with them. We have another event coming up, the compost give back event that we do annually, which is usually pretty popular, and it's kind of fun because it completes the cycle for the compost drop-off that people are doing at our three sites at Ontario, Fox Valley, and here at the town campus. That's on the 17th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Ontario Farm in the parking lot there. And just to note that I went to the school district's sustainability fair last Tuesday. As usual, amazing energy and incredible work by the students, and a lot of sort of water cooler talks about this and that. It was fun, and the kind of brought the town committee and the district committee together a little bit, and look forward to more collaboration in the future. That's it.
Thanks, Dan. Julia?
I want to echo the thoughts for both the Ray family and the Chavellino family. And also thank you to our first responders for always being at the ready to support everyone when they're in need. I think, Mary, that I don't remember if you said 1:30 to 7 or 1:30 to 7:30, but the blood drive is 1:30 to 7:30. For those of you who get out of work late, you have that extra half hour to get there. And it's great to hear about all these events that are related to Earth Day, which was last week. And just want to thank, I know that there's different community groups that clean streets for Earth Day, and thank you for always doing that. And it's great to see people participating in other aspects of sustainable living here in our town. Thank you for all the input on short-term rentals during that comment period. We really got a lot of feedback, and that will help us to think together about next steps. So appreciate everyone who took time to come and speak at meetings and to email us and make contact with us individually over the last month. And then I just wanted to propose to my colleagues that we think together about some work sessions. I know we're going to have a work session for short-term rentals, but I think it would be also good to revisit the comprehensive plan, just to do that sort of as an annual check-in about what our priorities are. And I think as we think about things like short-term rentals, we should use the direction of what's in the comprehensive plan to guide us. And so I'd love to think about that as a work session. And also, just because Annie is here, I think also having a finance work session, just where we think together about some of the future planning for capital and strategy around the use of fund balance versus the use of debt, and sort of like kind of just having an ongoing conversation and thinking together about that. So I would love to sort of propose that we have a few different work sessions scheduled over the next couple months to think about those things together before a meeting or on another day, however you guys want to do that.
Okay, Rich?
Thanks, Tom. As a 28-year resident of Golden's Bridge, this was a very tough period for our community and myself as a member of the community. A lot of both tragedy and triumph, but I come out of it just feeling really blessed to be part of this incredible community that we have. Heartfelt condolences to the Rays and what they've going through. We're all going to be here for you, for Linda and Christina. Anything that we can do as a community, just please let us know. The incredible bravery and support of our first responders and our injured police officers, Sergeant Llewellyn, who was not as relatively unscathed, thank goodness, compared to Joe Briggs, who we just hired. Our officer. Got to spend time with him at Westchester Medical Center, and thank God that he's home, and joined Tony and Dan also from when he was, on this.
I think Carrie was
when he left out, was on his way out and released from the hospital. Hopefully he'll have a speedy and complete recovery. My friend Dean Travellino, his passing, I just have to make mention of that. Somebody I've known for close to 25 years, and you realize, you don't realize how much an integral part of the community that Dean was, having known him so long, and I've been talked to him about all things Lewisboro, and our prayers are with the Travellino family during this difficult time. But on the Triumph, we also want to commemorate and celebrate 30 years of Horse and Hound. We got to spend some time over there. People like Sue Vales and her family. I mean, nobody's a better ambassador and representative of our community. Her generosity, her outpouring of support for anybody that needs it, time and time again. We're really blessed to have a Horse and Hound and Sue Vales here with our community. And I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, I have a couple of things. So yeah, again, condolences to the Ray family. They have a good support group working around them. So both Linda and Christina, I think, are gonna do fine with the support group. So yeah, it was a tragedy here in town, and the amazing response by not only our local agencies and PD, but also the mutual aid from surrounding municipalities, some of which came from, can expect, from all the way like over the bridge, even across the Tappan Zee Bridge in down county. So yeah, it was a tremendous show of force to to this unfortunate event, and yeah, looking forward to their rebuilding their lives. And Dean Travellino, condolences to the family. They have a beautiful ceremony today, funeral mass, which several of us here went to. And so he's going to be missed. And the question on the by Barbara about the fund balance. So on the finance page today, there are audit reports, and each of those audit reports does include the fund balance information. So take a look at those, and pretty soon we'll have the 2025, maybe in a couple of months or so, the 2025 audit report will be posted. But Annie is also working, and she's already developed some additional data with some nice bar graphs and pie charts, and which will eventually, we're gonna post those because we want to be able to have, like they say, pictures are worth 1,000 words. So we're gonna put some pictures on our finance website so folks can see what our financial picture looks like. And Lions have their golf outing tomorrow. It's a huge fundraiser for the Lewisboro Lions Club. We got all the sponsor signs made, but if anyone else, if there's any last minute sponsors out there that want to sponsor a hole, give me a call. So yeah, and that's all I have. Next, we have our next town board meeting is Monday, May 11th, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. here at the townhouse. So now I'd like to motion, I'm going to executive session to discuss attorney-client privilege items and also personnel item. So thank you all very much for coming out tonight.
Second.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
All in favor, aye.